And you're up.
Okay, welcome to the December 18th, 2019 meeting of the Kennebunkport Planning Board. Attendance, George is missing, but everybody else is here, so we're in good shape. Want to just, before we approve the minutes of the last meeting, I want to mention that we neglected to approve the finding of facts for the Kennebunkport Conservation Trust at the end of last meeting. We were messing with it and we signed it. We just never officially approved it. So I'd like to move approval of item 190903, site plan, the finding of facts that was written by Ed.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, good. Now, minutes. Any, everybody read the minutes?
I had one.
Okay.
It's on paragraph, it's on item 2, paragraph 2, where it talks about Bill Walsh representing City's mayor. Okay, and it goes on to, Mr. Walsh explained the parcel's 2/10 of an acre with 8,800 square feet of the existing single-family residence. I think that 8,800 square feet of needs to be taken out because the residence, I don't think is 8,800 square feet, is it? Supersedes it. So don't you think the 8,800 square feet, that
Is his
1, 2, 3,
mic
those
on?
4
I can confirm.
words needed to come out?
Can't hear you.
Let's just look at,
Or reworded anyway?
I don't think it adds anything to particularly have it, so why don't we just cross those words out?
Yeah, I think it's quite, a bit misleading.
Yeah,
So delete 8,800 square feet of.
okay. Right.
Now it reads 2/10 of an acre with the existing single-family residence located in the A2 flood zone. That's it.
Okay. That's fine. So,
So I move to approve the
Yes,
minutes
please.
as modified.
yep,
I'll second.
all in favor? All righty. So, that moves us on to the first item. Speaking of Mr. Walsh, we have 191101 5 Greer Road Trust, Walsh Engineering Authorized Agent, and this is the public hearing. I see we have lots of public, but let's first get the questions out of the planning board and such.
Good evening, Bill Walsh, Walsh Engineering. I'd be happy to go through the same spiel as last time if you want me to, or defer
Well,
to you.
I had a few questions.
Sure.
I started writing the findings of fact, and then I had 8 questions. So
Okay,
the first one, there's some detail and some kind of general, but let's start with the first one, which is that the deed shows Celeste Mayer and Julia Mayer as trustees, joint tenants, okay?
okay.
But the application letter of authorization is only signed by Celeste Mayer. Don't both trustees need to sign? I mean, I don't have a background to know if this is okay or not. I'm just asking.
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Well, my frame of reference, let me tell you my frame of reference, okay? Long time ago, I know it's not exactly the same, get a refund check from, like, say, State Farm.
Yeah,
It's made out to Charles L. and Kay Simmons.
Yeah.
I could sign for both of us.
yeah,
Last several years, both of us have to sign, okay?
Yeah.
So something happened in the legal world that meant if you're somehow connected to an asset, then you have to sign, it's okay. So all I'm saying is, are we sure that Julia Meyer is okay with whatever Celeste Meyer is doing with regard to the letter of authorization?
as far as I know, she is, and I guess most of the ones that we submit on this, if they're husband and wife, we usually only have one of them sign it, so I can't say legally, I guess, how that should be, but I know that's typically how we do them.
So,
As far as I know,
any,
Julia is.
Ralph, you want any guidance on this?
Nina?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I should be worried about it. I guess if nobody else is
I
concerned about it.
don't know either, joint trustees like that, I'm not sure. I think One probably has the authority, but I honestly don't know. It's been so long since I've done anything with trusts.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what the wording of the trust is.
Yes.
Many people allow one trustee to act on behalf of both. But I don't know on this.
Well, I'm consulting Google here.
Oh, the Internet Authority.
Google Esquire. And, you know, I probably can find an opposing view too, but this says, the first one I came up with said, "The signatures of all joint tenants are generally required in order to transfer or sell bonds and corporate stocks. All joint tenants and their spouses must sign deeds and contracts to transfer or sell real estate."
But that's a joint tenancy, and that's different.
That's not quite the same as being a trustee.
As joint tenants.
So-
That's why I said it.
So are we saying we're prepared to live with the ambiguity in the absence of an objection from Julia Mayer? Or do we want Celeste Mayer to inform Julia Mayer and us? What are we gonna do on this? I don't know how much it matters.
I
Okay.
would tell you that typically speaking, as a matter of practice, if we have one property owner who signs a building permit application, we don't go through a process of, reviewing all potential folks who have some level of right, title, and interest to the property to gain permission from all of them. It's been, typical practice has been that if you have, a representative of the property who can show they have, I guess, what's the question? Sufficient right, title, and interest, that's typically fine. If they have an argument otherwise regarding the renovations here, I would hope they'd have dealt with that already.
Okay, so we're just gonna go with Celeste Mayer. And so that means that if Julia Mayer has an objection, she needs to let us know right away, right? I guess that's where we're
You
going.
can go ask her mom.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good, thanks. Okay, then my next one is related. So the mailing address for the applicant is shown as 2444 Broadway, San Francisco, California, but the warranty deed shows the mailing address is 28 Prescott Court, San Francisco. You know,
They might have moved.
okay, so we're gonna go with the current, with the address on the applicant provided instead of the one on the warranty deed, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, okay. And then, okay, so those are my sort of two general ones. Then I had some kind of specific ones. And the first one goes back to the application, which we just kind of referred to in the minutes here. But in the application, the site consists of .18 acres, okay? So I ran the numbers, and that's 7,841 square feet, more or less. And then the reported existing impervious coverage is 3,656 square feet. And that comes out to be, well, reported as 41.2%, but 3,656 over 7,841 is 46.6%. So my question is, how important is it to make the numbers in the document internally consistent? That's where this one's going.
I think it's important. I can answer that question.
Okay.
The letter is incorrect, and I think
Oh.
I pointed that out at the last meeting. But,
Okay.
I do have
Oh,
an
updated?
updated
Oh, good.
survey.
Okay.
And an updated impervious area that I can
Oh,
hand out to
great.
you. That should solve that problem.
That would be
It
wonderful.
It is .2 acres, and it is actually 44.7%.
There we go, 44.7.
Yeah, so just another number.
Okay. I appreciate making it all consistent. Yep, thanks. Okay.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. So then, my next question is, and I think you discussed this somewhat last week, but there's a lot of information in the application about the shared dock. Are you trying to draw our attention to something with that?
No, not
It's
at
just
all. That's not even
Kind
part of the.
of be complete with,
Yeah, I think that's a carryover of the deed piece
Okay.
that's in there, so.
all right, that's
it's
okay,
no-
okay. And then, my next one, I saw on the plan here, there's two proposed parking areas. Does that have any impact on what we're doing?
No.
Or is that gonna be some future thing, or is that just
So
between
the-
you and Warner,
Yeah,
those two things?
yeah, no, so, again, the survey that got submitted was an older sort of working survey. And
Oh.
the one that I just handed you
Oh.
that also shows a proposed building on there, which is not part of that either. I picked that up, I think, after the last meeting and
Okay, so
noticed that.
these are
Those
limited.
correct that, they take
Okay.
that building off of that, and I
Okay.
doubt they even talk about that
Okay.
proposed parking. So that driveway got removed, and it's completely changed, so if you look at
Okay.
the date of that, it's,
All right, thank you, I appreciate it. I was having a little trouble interpreting everything on there,
yeah,
okay.
I'm sorry
great.
for that confusion, I didn't realize that was.
No trouble,
I
okay.
went back and looked at the math on the same as you did on the area.
All right. Oh, good.
And
Thank
when
you.
I did it, I picked up those things, I'm like, wait a second.
Thank
this
you,
isn't-
appreciate that. Then I noticed, in the application, you say the erosion and sedimentation control is gonna be accomplished by a silt fence or erosion control mixed berm. But then I look back in, Exhibit L, I was expecting to see some kind of, I don't know, drawings or something of your erosion control plan.
Yeah, it'll just be, I mean, basically, we're just digging footers for that, so it's all on posts. We'll wrap it with some erosion control mix.
So it's just the general description here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's pretty
Okay.
benign sort of excavation. It's,
Okay. Then my last question was, I saw where, well, I know that the whole application is to basically take an existing shed that's attached to the house and make that part of the house. Okay?
Well, it is part of the house.
Okay, so, but it's a single level, single story essentially, and you're gonna make it 2 stories, and then it's gonna go back and, I guess, kind of intercept the existing roof in the vicinity of that skylight area.
Correct, so it's coming up here.
So the question that came to mind is, how much heavier is the 2-story building gonna be than the shed, and is that gonna have an effect on the foundation for the new construction? Yeah.
Yeah, it will slightly, and that's exactly what I said here. We'll put, or they will put, when they build this, they'll put new foundations underneath that, and that has to be, up at the elevation of the house, right at the existing foundation. So that will be supported with new posts.
Okay, yeah, that's all I wanted to
Yep.
be sure of, okay. Okay, well, that's all my questions.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I have a couple of issues.
Sure.
The first is we're just receiving this now, and, documents are supposed to be received 2 weeks before. Is it 1 week or 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
1 week at least, before a public hearing. And so my recommendation to the board is that we continue the public hearing till next week, and you can read the findings of fact then. But because the public hasn't had a chance to see this, we need to leave it open for inspection for at least a week.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that,
Okay.
I was gonna suggest the same thing. Does that
Okay.
sound right, Warner?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep, certainly you all can exercise that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, keep the public
Besides
hearing
the-
open and then,
Steve here, we wouldn't wanna do anything wrong.
right?
My other question,
That's right, after they read Steve the Riot Act last time, so.
What'd you come for, Steve?
my other question is, I see the plans and I see a dormer on there, but I don't see if the dormer's going to have any windows, and there are no pictures of any windows or anything.
There will be windows. You're right, that is just that's just a volume calculation, so there will be windows along that side.
Okay, well, my next question, of course, is going to be related to bird strikes.
Okay.
And what kind of window is going in there? We have no image of it, we have no architect's description of it, whether it's going to be just plate glass there that any bird can crash into. You're in the Cape Porpoise area. We've lost, like 3/4 of the population of songbirds in this country, and we don't need to lose any more. So I need to know whether there are going to be screens on there, or whether there's going to be design that's going to discourage bird strikes.
I believe it'd be screens there, but I can verify that with the architect.
Some windows have screens and some don't.
Yep, I know. And,
External screens. not-
yes,
Not,
External.
not casement with a,
yep, yep, understood. I don't know, to be honest with you, so I can find that out. and-
you have the answer for next,
Yeah, these windows do, so assumedly they would match. Those do have exterior screens on them.
Architects don't always match things. They get their own little ideas, artistic ideas of
Yep.
what they would like to see.
Yeah.
so if you can, the next meeting is the
January.
15th of January.
Okay,
And we have that answer, we'll continue the public hearing to the 15th of January.
And if you have
And,
it way ahead of time, then
Yeah,
we
if you have,
can do the findings
minute
if
you
that's
have
more
a word
easy.
on those screens, get it to us,
okay,
okay? And ideally, I think Larry now has enough information that barring any public comments that change things, we would probably have finding of facts at that point also.
okay,
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
all right, thank you.
Can I just clarify what it is that got changed by this letter, Bill?
Yeah, so the survey was,
I see before on the application, it said you were at 8873 square feet, and it looks like you're adding 6 square feet to that.
yeah.
Is it really that simple?
Yeah, it's really clarifying, as I said, on the survey, it was a previous plan, and they had proposed replacing the building at one time. So it shows up on the one that's Larry's looking at, the older one that we originally submitted. So it wasn't correct, and I noticed that
You're
afterwards.
saying, and maybe that's what I missed, that the survey didn't match the application before.
Yes, that's true. That's
Okay,
true.
but you're confirming that the application was within 6 feet of-
Yes. Yeah, the numbers that I have there on the letter that I just gave you are the correct ones.
And then the application doesn't really give you lot coverage. It says percent of lot occupied by structures. You're saying when you add in the driveways, it comes to 44?
Yes,
Is that
exactly.
what's
When you,
going on?
all of the walkways and all of the other things that are there. And those do show up on the,
On the
both
detail.
on those two plans that you got, which was a corrected survey, and then we had to correct our plan as well, which, to line up with the survey. So
Thank you.
I was trying to tighten those numbers up for you.
It's good.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave you with the impression that you were being punished for having clarified it.
Oh, no, that was never our expectation.
It sounds like it really is a clarification.
It was, it's exactly what it
Yeah,
is. I'm just
okay. Thank you.
trying to get that straightened out. Thank you.
So,
No, he's being punished for getting the clarification in late.
We appreciate
so
it.
can I get do I need a motion to continue the public hearing to the next time?
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing.
And a second,
Okay, all in favor? Okay. So, we'll see you on the 15th of January.
Okay.
yep.
Which brings us to 191-201, Lord and Harrington LLC, Sebago Techniques. Authorized agent, initial review for approval to add a new 6-foot wide porch along the south side of a main structure and replace two small, it's more than just replacing two small porches, it's replacing whole buildings, so this description's a little lacking. But, anyway, proceed.
Thank you. Steve Doe from Sebago Technics. Also with me tonight is Kevin Lord and Ralph Austin. Lord and Harrington purchased this property 2018, and have been working through the codes office on fixing the building up, changing the units around, getting them into a, updated facility. And in the process, they wanted to change the deck on the, on this side of the building. Right now, there's just 2 stairs that go up to a little platform before you go into the unit. And they wanted to add a whole deck along the whole side of that building. to provide more of an outdoor space for the tenants in the building. And Warner said we'd have to come to the planning board for that. So that's why we're here tonight, is for the areas in front of this building. There are some of the other items that are existing out there. There are 2 single-family homes per se, or units out there. We've been dealing with Warner on those, replacing those with new structures. We understand as a code office, those happen through the code as far as approval and placement and all that. And
Steve,
they've had-
before we go too far, can we just talk a little bit about why this is in front of the planning board? And I think if I can paraphrase, you basically said that it's because Werner says.
Kind of like that. That's
What
kind
more is
of,
there to say?
that's kind of what I
And
heard from
I was
Warner.
hoping
I get
you
that a
or
lot.
Werner
Hopefully Werner
could just
can fill us
explain
in
your
a little
reasoning.
bit.
Yeah.
Sure, so,
And the reason I'm pushing on that is not because I don't believe you, but I think it helps us to focus
Sure.
our attention on what it is that the planning board is responsible for here.
so this particular structure is a multiplex. And so as a multiplex, listed as a conditional use, it's a conditional use that's subject to planning board approval. So any modifications to that, as a structure are subject to a site plan review. So some of the other items that Steve, mentioned that, are there on site are, the replacement of these 2 single-family dwelling units that are out there. Single-family dwelling units, again, we're not dealing with a shoreland zone or anything of that nature, or under the auspice of the code enforcement office. So this is a little bit of a, it's an interesting property because you've got a mix of buildings that are on, that are on the site there, so.
So this is not shoreland zone because it's in the Cape Porpoise Square?
It's outside of the 250.
It's outside of the
It's
250.
outside of the 250,
Yep.
okay.
So the reason it's before us is not because you're changing the deck, it's because you're making a change to a multiplex structure,
Correct.
which is a
That's what I,
Conditional use.
conditional use, and in fact, a non-conforming conditional use.
Well,
In that it's a multiplex with more than
units
8
than-
units.
Exactly.
Okay.
correct. So there's a number of, and I think if I saw in the application, Steve's kind of spelled out, some of the, the nonconformities, that we're dealing with here.
Yes, very helpful.
There's a density nonconformity, in terms of the number of units.
9 versus 8.
Right, within the building. There's, also just the presence of the other 2 single units, that's also a nonconformity that's there. But as we've been looking at this, project, we parse out the items that are non-conforming, and those component pieces don't change, so the number of units don't change, so that doesn't affect the density component piece. There's no additions that, or increase in square footage that would, further increase a nonconformity regarding a setback. Same thing as it relates to lot coverage, those types of things, we make sure that those elements of the nonconformity don't increase. As a use, within that zone, a multiplex is a conditional use within that zone. But you have these other nonconformities that, that we look at to just ensure that those component pieces don't increase in nonconformity.
Understood. But it's the multiplex nature and a change to a multiplex structure that triggered the
That's
planning
correct.
board
Yep.
review. Thank you.
But it's a pre-existing multiplex before the.
Correct.
Before.
Oh, yeah, this whole thing is, legally
So we're-
nonconforming
How are we changing a use?
situation.
All we did was add a porch. How does that change the use?
Oh, it doesn't change the use,
Okay.
so it's
That's
not
why-
a,
That's why I asked. and
It's not a-
what
it's
I-
not
I,
a change.
I am
What I
totally
heard,
baffled.
what
by
I heard, and that I accepted for this was that any change to a multiplex structure, because it is a conditional use, triggers a planning board review of the site plan. Did I understand that correctly?
So, just to be clear, so interior renovations, of which there have been a lot of, on this property, Those,
okay.
interior renovations, those fall under the purview of the code office.
All right,
Small additions to properties don't trigger a planning board review. This particular addition, because it exceeds that square footage, triggers a planning board review.
exceeds which square,
What square?
There's
What square
a
footage?
100 square footage.
Of the size of the addition.
That's correct, yep. So for instance.
that's a new one on me, okay.
Yes, for instance, if we had so think of a hotel, hotel you recognize as a conditional, use. I think the language in the ordinance talks about if you have enclosures of doorways or things of that nature, small additions don't trigger a site plan review. Good example is if you've, if you've eaten over at Lost Fire, as an example, that front entrance that they have, building permit application.
Because it was smaller than 100 square feet.
That's right, yeah.
Do you happen to know the reference on that so I can remember it for next time?
Sure, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll dig it out for you all.
Going to school here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
While he's doing that, would you show me where they added the land from the driveway?
So if you were to project this line straight across,
Uh-huh,
that was the original parcel, and the driveway has always been, there's a big chunk of ledge right here.
uh-huh.
And so that driveway has always been in this location. And
So
So
there was
we-
sort of an easement
there was never an easement. It was
Never
really
was.
just,
used.
it was just put there. I mean, we went back to photos from the 1920s or 30s, and it was always there.
Okay,
But anyway, we cleaned it up. They were willing to sell us that piece of land, no more than that, but that's what we were, so that driveway's now on this property.
but a judge basically would have said that it's been in use for that long, it probably would be shared,
The
maybe.
problem was it would have taken 3 or 4 years.
Yes. Of litigation, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but usually a court will go with it. Now, I have a question about this. When I went back to the vision cards and everything, to see if, before, or just after the land use ordinance, whether there was any additions, for example, those extra houses and so forth and so on, and I can't find any record. Do you know if there was, when those additional
The one
pieces?
that, is the one that sits here and the one that sits back there.
Right, or if they renovated the main structure?
I don't think any
Because-
renovation has been done.
Because if you're adding to the structure and we're looking at the nonconformance, I would like to have, as usual, a basis from which we could go to say, it's always been this way, this is the basis, this is how much you can add to the nonconforming structure. So, and I can't find anything that gives me that
In the town's records, yeah.
in the town's records,
Yeah.
at least as far as I could see written records.
I mean, we, excuse me, for the record, Ralph Austin, we did quite a bit of research in the town records and looking at old photos and old information about, because it used to be a lodging house or Senate House a long time ago. Yeah, and we spent a lot of time with Warner on it, and Warner, the code office has made the determination that's what there now is, what is there now predated zoning, and so we're going on that basis.
Okay.
It's sort of not, it's not at all like Sandy Pines where it came a question of, is there an expansion of use? And so we needed to establish for the board a basis for that use. Here we're not changing the use, it's just adding a small element to the structure which the code office has determined is grandfathered for use and all the other nonconformities that it has.
Okay.
And the change is not governed by a percentage expansion, it's an absolute 20%. And you're measurably under the 20% lot coverage.
Right, and the
Yeah.
20% included the two houses that aren't part of this application.
Correct.
Yeah, the proposed.
The lot coverage,
That's
yes.
correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, I understand. So that's why I got comfortable. I did the same research, but then I
Yeah.
realized it was different.
It's lot coverage, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. We'll catch up with the citing of what paragraph and
Oh, okay.
thing it is later.
I
Marty, you
really don't have
to
anything else
Stop
to
what you're doing
add.
to do that now.
You know, I think what I've drawn on here is there's several setbacks that kind of apply to this. When you're a multiplex, you have greater setbacks versus a single family. So the orange is what the setbacks are in the zone for a single family. So these two new structures and the storage shed comply with that. The blue is what, when you get to a multiplex, they have a wider or greater setback. So, you know, no additions could happen on this side. This is what's, would be non-conforming as far as the setback. But these decks are in the center part that would be conforming from setbacks. So, but really, I don't have anything else really to add. I'm happy to answer any questions and.
It's an interesting plan, given the nature of kind of multiple uses, and especially whenever you have different setbacks relative to those. A lot of lines.
Has there been any feedback from abutters about this at this point? Any approaching of them?
They like the facelift.
It looks a lot better.
They want you to be quieter, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep the noise down.
A lot of people inquiring about
Yeah, availability.
availability.
Oh, sure, I'm
That's
sure.
good to hear.
And I think once the other two homes, which are really pretty bad, disappear, the smaller ones, once those are gone, I think that'll help a lot too. And it's not really part of the board, but, we cited this one up close to the road to kind of reinforce that village feel that's out there. But, all the homes are really close, and the style of this is very similar to the homes that would be out in that area. So.
Did you say the other two structures are going to be removed, or are they going to be replaced?
Well, replaced with the new ones.
But
Yeah.
relocated as they were replaced, a bit, right? They're not going back on the same footprint.
No.
Right. No further questions.
I think we're out of questions, so.
Yeah.
So I would move that we accept this application as complete.
Oh, second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, that leaves us with one thing.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Well, no. Well, that comes
Public
really
hearing?
close, but I
so-
still need a
Christmas
case
shopping.
manager.
We're not going to be
Oh, that.
doing this until the 15th, is that
15th.
correct?
Yeah,
Okay, and there'll be a
Yeah.
public meeting at that.
public hearing then.
Yeah.
Well, we
Might be
appreciate
really
you,
busy with lots of stuff
I
on the
appreciate you
15th.
taking us tonight
Oh, yeah,
instead of the 15th. I appreciate that.
Get the ball rolling.
yes. We'll collect our,
Tom, I'm happy to do this one.
oh, good, a volunteer. I like that, thank you.
Now, can I make a motion to adjourn?
Please do.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, second.
All in favor? Over and out.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. We're done.
Yeah.